Hi everybody. So now we have to talk about the Emperor, and the Emperor is card number 4 in the tarot deck. So the keywords is masculine power, fatherhood, authority, and leadership. Now let's take a look at a few examples. Right, so I'm going to start with the Morgan Greer Tarot. So what we see here, man sitting on his throne, we've always got the eagle somewhere in it. We can see it there as well. He's holding a scepter, he's holding a sword. Usually the predominant colors of the card would be red, and sometimes we will find some elements of Aries on this card as well. Next up, let's have a look at the Druidcraft Tarot. And with this one, we're still seeing the red. We're seeing the horns there of Aries. He's holding a staff, something to fight with. And let's go over to my favorite deck. Once again, we're seeing the red. He's holding a scepter. We do have the horns of Aries there on his helm. And then let's go for something a bit more modern, which is the Lightseers Tarot. And we can see him holding it looks like the king. Yes, it's the king over there that he's holding a chess piece. It's still predominantly red. He's sitting against Mars, Aries, and there, of course, we've got the Aries horns as well. And then lastly, we'll have a quick look at the Witch's Tarot, which is a beautiful representation for me. Once again, on his throne, he's holding his staff. You'll see that most of them do have the Ankh in there as well. He's dressed in full armor. He's got red. Well, this is more for burgundy. Yes, this is more for burgundy. And then I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but he's got the symbol of Aries right there as well. So, right. So let's delve in. So, traditionally, we've got a mature man and he's seated upon a throne. He's draped in red. Red will be dominant in the card to show his vibrancy, to show his strength. He holds a scepter, and the same scepter or even the Ankh is usually just a symbol of the male potency that he has. Then he is usually armored or has a shield or helm, something to do with war at least, to represent his readiness for battle. And the shield figures prominently, symbolizing his protective or defensive powers usually. So, right, so let's get to this. Now, when we start looking at, especially like this one where we don't see any shield or anything like that, he's still holding the king, he's still sitting on a chessboard. So what we're seeing is we're still seeing the act of war going on there. It's a battle strategy game, and that's exactly who the emperor is. Now, the emperor symbolizes order and control. He is an ambitious ruler. He's a tireless commander. He's a charismatic visionary. That's why we always see that idea of the battle strategy behind him, why he's very much laid back. He might be in armor, but he's pretty much laid back. He's not ready to just storm in. He's going to plan it. He's going to think about it. And that's what makes him, well, he's willful and stubborn. He's going to take some time and he's going to find his own way. He's confident. He's courageous. He's strong. He governs through logic, reason, and through will. So all in all, when we're looking at this card, we've got a very OCD card going on. Obsessively compulsive, almost in the way that he does things. So that is something to always take into account when we're working with this card. He's very meticulous on how things need to be done. He's not just a strong leader, but he is a very skillful one in the fact that he takes his time. Now, when we start looking at the number 4 in numerology and specifically towards the emperor within the major arcana, we'll see that he's card number 4, and that symbolizes stability. It symbolizes the structure of foundation. It symbolizes the 4 cornerstones, the 4 walls of a room. So he's very much placed in a box, but he's also exceptionally stable. He shows a good foundation. These are usually people who struggle to just adapt to quick change. They need some time. They do need their stability. They do need their safety. Remember, the Emperor is all about safety, protection. Um, he's less about going into battle and a lot more about defensive strategies. So stability for him is an exceptionally big thing. You'll also see that in most cards, you'll see that he's thrown is from solid rock. And that's also that sense of stability, that sense of structure, that way that it can't be moved, that very much set in his ways. But he's set in his ways because his ways work. He's not a card that likes change. He doesn't like transformation. Everything needs to be logic. Everything needs to be sound. And he's practically immovable from where he is in life. So when we start looking at this card, because it's all about stability, because it's all about foundation, we need to start looking at where we are in life as well. So when drawing this card in a situation, the entire situation has got such a deep foundation that it's very, very difficult to actually move the person away from that situation. They're very much steadfast. It becomes almost like a comfort zone. It becomes a safe zone, so to speak. And that's the main thing with this card, is anybody who's got this card, whether that be as a signifier, an archetype, within a project or such, or situation, it's very much immovable. It's very much safe the way it is. It hasn't changed in years. Think about, Coca-Cola. It tries to stay very much the same. It'll come out with new products, but the original will always stay there. And that is the foundation of everything. If you walk into a store, the majority of the space will be taken up by the original. There's no sudden change. There's not even in the labeling will you find a sudden change. It's very much stable because it knows it works. It completely knows what works. It knows it from years and years of experience. And that's what we see here within the Emperor itself. Now, in most cards, you will see that the Emperor has a beard. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. When we look at this card, it's but a stubble. But if we start looking at this card, for instance, he's got a long grey beard. And like in that one. Now, this has got to do all with his wisdom and with his experience. Think of him as that old man living down the street and everything's just been the same for the last 30, 40, 50 years. He's still driving the same car because he knows it's reliable. He knows the engine. He knows what to do if it goes wrong. He's got a little bit of a funnel and a bottle of water in the back for the gaskets and such, or for the radiator. Sorry, it's probably the radiators. I'm not that clued up with cars. But he knows exactly what to expect. He knows what to do. And because of that, he's stable. So sometimes it might seem to us like, oh my gosh, but there's a lot going wrong there. He's looking at it, but it's stable. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it's supposed to be. I know what's going on. To me, this is stability. And that's what we're seeing also in the Emperor. Even though there is experience, even though there is wisdom to fix whatever is wrong, he'll use a very old way sometimes to do it. He's very much stuck in his ways, and it needs to be performed in a very specific order the whole time. So yes, so that is the essence actually of the Emperor. Next up, we do have the red in the card. It's usually a bright red robe, or it could be a tunic. He'll have sturdy boots on and such, because the one thing that you can know about the Emperor, even though he's steadfast, he is exceptionally reliable. He can act like this. Now, he can respond to any crisis. He can answer on any call. He is always ready. He's always got a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. He'll prefer to stick with plan A. That's who he is. But he can adapt in the time of crisis. And when he walks in there, his first thing to do would be to set a new foundation, a new stability. He'll go to the root of the problem. He's not the type of person that tries and fix a symptom. So this also makes him one of the slowest moving cards within the tarot because he does take his time. He's going to think it over. He's going to call to action. He'll be there, but he's going to yeah. And it looks like he's not doing anything at all, but he's going to observe the entire situation and then go like, okay, let's start putting this and this and this into action. So it's a bit of a slow burn, but once that card has set into a situation, it's sturdy. It's not going anywhere. It's very much the best foundation you can have. You know that if he sets the foundation, the building's still going to stand in 1,000 or 2,000 years. Now, you'll see that on his thorn, on the one it was on his shoulder, or sometimes just with the horns and such, what we're seeing is a lot of elements for the zodiac symbol Aries, or we will see Mars, which is the planetary symbol for Aries as well. Now, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. He's a born leader because he's first, and the Emperor signifies Aries' personality, which is exceptionally courageous, very bold, commanding, self-confident. Now, I know quite a few Aries people. Stability to them is a really big thing. They are immovable, they can jump into action, they are courageous, they are bold, they can lead, but they want to do it their way. That's the main thing there, is they do it their way because they know that their way works. I've never met an Aries that will go into a situation without having all of the knowledge that they can have. I know Aries people who will not take a pill that's prescribed from a doctor without reading about every single side effect, going through every pamphlet that they can find, going on YouTube and watching 10,000 videos on there about that specific pill. They will go and check what could be alternatives, natural alternatives for it. Can you find it anywhere else? Is there other similar pills? Is there any other side effects? And within that, they will find that new foundation. They will eventually take this pill in most cases, but they need to be sure about where it comes from, what it's going to do, what can I use now to make sure that I don't have any side effects. They're very thorough. And then secondly, on the leadership thing as well, they can analyze the situation and go like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do that, and you will have it done in absolutely no time, which also means that they can have a little bit of a temper sometimes, but that's not a big issue within this card. Now, lastly, we need to think about the sector that he holds, which is in most cases an Ankh. When we look at the original Rider-Waite, it's almost always an Ankh. And that is also a symbol of ancient leadership. It's a symbol by the pharaohs. It's the symbol of fertility. It's the symbol of longevity. So in short, when we're looking at him, he can lead towards the fertility because the loop at the top will be the female genitalia, which as the bottom will represent the phallus, and then the worlds between them and also how they do connect. So that brings up the fertility. So now we're seeing the Empress card being drawn into this card as well. But that's not his main job. He says he's fertile. He helps the Empress to give birth. But his thing is just to make sure that the stability is there so that it can have longevity at the end of the day. So yes, so that is the Emperor, and I'll be back just now with your next card. I'm going to see you guys now. Bye.